What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of our Roll Tide Rewind Draft Breakdown series. If you haven't seen it already, episode 1 is on Evan Neal. Check that out. About 20 minutes breaking down what makes Evan Neal such a great NFL draft prospect. Today, we're going to be going in and breaking down some Jameson Williams film, some strengths. We'll look at the scouting report, what the NFL scouting community maybe wants to see a little bit more of. And then at the end, Cole's going to talk us through some of the best fits, and we'll decide where we maybe anticipate him going in the NFL draft here in a few weeks. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Thomas, you are our king of the plays here. We're going to roll this one against Arkansas from this year. What do you see from Jameson on this one? He's up top.
I mean, like a lot of times we saw it this year, he just has world-class speed. Like he runs like if he was able to run at the combine, which I wish he would have, but well, I mean, yeah, obviously he can't because of the injury. But if he was healthy, that I would have just it'd have been something to see, like a 4.2 40 or something like that. But like a 4.4 guy is not scoring a touchdown there. He catches that ball, gets a good all, he gets off the ball really well on the slant, gets good separation, and just pulls away. Like that Arkansas guy is very close to him in the beginning, and then you can see how it becomes a 3 4 yard difference until the end. So that's going to translate very well in the NFL when quarterbacks are going to hit him in stride, and he's just going to fly right by people.
Yeah, one of the terms we hear from the scouting community a lot of times is for receivers is like their acceleration out of their break. And that's what I really like about Jameson on this play. Once he cuts it inside against this corner, watch how he, like you said, Thomas, just kind of accelerates and keeps that separation. He's not having a hand fight. He doesn't have the defender right there in his hip pocket. He accelerates out of that break and he goes and he's just running into open space. And the speed that he has makes the safety take a bad angle too. Like you said, if he were slower, that safety would probably catch him. He'd have a much better angle. But just watch how Jameson accelerates out of that break. He hits that break and he's just going. And then 15 there, the safety thinks he has an angle on him. And as we've seen multiple times throughout Jameson's career, it's just speed that you can't expect. It just shocks you when you're a defender trying to tackle him. Like that guy right there is like, ooh, I had no idea this guy was this fast. I mean, that's a whiff. That's a horrible attempt. But Jameson, he wasn't the first guy that Jameson did that to, and he won't be the last. So certainly see the game-breaking speed there. And our next one here is from the SEC Championship this year in 2021. This play is probably familiar to a lot of us. I mean, pretty similar deal, honestly. But Thomas, anything specific about this one stick out to you?
I mean, the people that watched Albo play all year, we knew how fast he was. This was on the big stage when 15 or so million people are watching this game. That was the play where everybody realized, okay, this man is really, 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 really fast. Because that safety has the angle on him, and at about the 30, I was like, I think he's gonna. I was like, I think he's gonna score just because I knew how fast. I knew like he has that potential, but that's just absolutely insane. That safety has the angle on him almost the whole way. Then about the 30, you kind of realize that Jameson's just flat out faster than him.
Yeah, for sure. And I think somewhere in our notes, maybe, don't we have the numbers on like how many 50-yard, 60-yard, 70-yard, 80-yard touchdowns?
Yes. So he this past season he had 8 touchdown catches of 50 yards or more, 7 of 55 or more. He had 4 of 70 or more, and he had 3 of 80 or more. And a funny little stat, he has, like I said, he has 8 touchdown catches of 50 yards or more just this past season. Devontae Smith in his entire career at Alabama had 9 of 50 yards or more.
Yeah, that's wild. And I mean, Smitty really evolved from early in his career kind of being the slim, wiry kind of guy who nobody really viewed as that explosive, regardless of the national championship winning play, second and 26. But he really did develop into a big play threat. So for Jameson to basically match Smitty, a Heisman winner's career output in big plays like that really tells you all you need to know about, the kind of extra dimension he can bring to your offense. Also, we talked enough about the horrific coverage from Georgia on this play during our SEC championship rewind, so I don't think we need to revisit that. But Jameson's speed yeah, he just outruns the guy, takes a bad angle. With that kind of speed, there's almost no good angle. Like if Jameson has that much speed on you, you're basically screwed unless you happen to have a safety who can also run 4.2 and somehow still make a sure tackle in open space, which there aren't many of those guys.
And for this play, we all loved watching this play over and over again. But if Alabama fans, if you remember, this is the first touchdown of the second half. This is the Bryce Young where he throws it 60 yards in the air, and then you see Jameson Williams running by defenders, scoring a touchdown. Kind of, the normal for this year. But this replay kind of shows how great of a route runner and just how fast Jameson Williams is with the stutter step. And I know Cole wanted to talk about this play.
Yeah, this is just incredible. I mean, watch the way when he makes that break, how much quicker he is coming out of that break than the defender is there. It's just incredible. It really shows off the route running as well as the acceleration. I mean, he just within 5 yards, he's gotten 3 yards of separation out of that break. It's just incredible. It's game breaking speed. It's incredible acceleration, and it's the reason why he's going to go in the first round of the draft.
That's a great point. I mean, let's look at this. He hits the stutter at basically the 43, right? 43, 44 yard line. Hits the stutter by the within 10 yards, he's already stopped and then gained 2 yards of separation. And he's running away from the guy. It's not like he's keeping that 2 yards of separation. By that point, it's, closer to 3, 4, maybe even 5. So I remember watching this play the first time, and I watched it at a bunch of different speeds. I watched it at like half speed and three-quarter speed and then 1.25 speed. And just every time I watched it, the way he's able to pull away from that guy is jaw-dropping, literally. And this guy isn't a scrub corner either. We've talked about him before. He's the guy who sealed the national championship with a pick six, former five-star recruit for Georgia, so he's no scrub, and Jameson's just making him look like an absolute bum. So this one to me, when I think of like Jameson Williams' game-changing speed and what he brought to Alabama's offense this past year, this is the play. This is the one. But despite that, he's not just a deep threat, as we'll see. Alabama did a good job. Bill O'Brien got some criticism from across the Alabama football fandom on Twitter and even on this show, and some of it was justified. But one of the things I liked about how O'Brien ran the offense was he got Jameson the ball in a variety of ways. Here he's not just a straight line home run hitter, right? They saw his skill in the open field, and vision is a component of this too. So, even though the guy runs in the 4.2s, you can use him in a lot of different ways than just throw him a deep ball or use him as a decoy and clear out space for somebody else, right? And I like the toughness by Jameson over the middle too. I mean, to cut this back inside, kind of his mold, that's a different play there. But kind of guys in his mold who are just typecast as the kind of skinny, wiry, deep threat, like a Deshaun Jackson, are sometimes notorious for not wanting to take hits. Like Deshaun Jackson probably slides down right about there. He's not going to want to take that hit over the middle, right? But I like that Jameson's fighting for the first down and is willing to take the hit, knowing that all these defenders are going to be coming at him. So I like that a lot. And then I had another example up here as well, just I think a play or two later. So, they just a little pop pass to him and just get him the ball. Just get him the ball in space. It's not about necessarily running in a straight line. It's just knowing that this guy has game-breaking speed and acceleration and quickness, and that the more ways you can get him the ball, the more he's going to be able to do for your offense. And again, you see the angles that these guys are taking. They're just underestimating him. I mean, two there, he's in a good spot to make that tackle. He just underestimates Jameson's speed to the edge. And Jameson, I don't know if he looked like he got the first down there. So, you turn a little pop pass, you take some pressure off your quarterback, and it just turns a little pop pass like that into basically you're stealing a first down and moving the chains. And, that got him inside the 30. So you can see
Yeah, I
the
think
variety of ways that you can use a guy like that. Go ahead, Ryan.
yeah, I think that's kind of a misconception. Like I read all these draft reports about how he's a great deep threat, and that's obviously true. But I think he could be so much more in a well constructed offense than just line him up outside and throw him 60-yard passes. Like I think he can do this at the NFL level too, not just at the college level.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I
And
agree.
Yeah, go ahead, Thomas.
Sorry, James. I was saying I agree because like his speed reminds me of like Tyreek Hill's speed and Mecole Hardman's speed, and I love how well, Tyreek Hill's now on the Dolphins, but how they utilize both of the guys. Like Tyreek Hill was known as a deep threat, but they always found ways to get him involved, whether it was a jet sweep, throwing like an end around, like a slant, a screen, like any little thing. They always try to get those guys involved, and I think they need like whoever Jameson goes to, they need to do the same because he's not just a deep threat. Like these two plays show, they try to always get him involved, and he can make plays.
Yeah, 100%. It's really just trusting the players that you have, that you've invested, draft capital and eventually significant portions of your salary cap into these guys. It's just trusting them to make plays. You've invested in them. You got to trust them to make plays. And if Jameson goes to an organization and an offense that's willing to commit to him and trust him to make plays when they get him the ball, he's going to be, a superstar, really. I mean, the ceiling, he probably has the highest ceiling in this draft class. It's a very deep receiver class. I mean, a lot of top level talent in there, but very deep as well. And Jameson, he may not have the highest ceiling. He may not, but I think we'd all agree he's the fastest in this class and probably in the last several classes. But then with like we talked about with, kind of toughness and being willing to take hits over the middle, Thomas, I think this was your play as well, so I'll let you take it. But I think the physicality and catching the ball in traffic is something that he doesn't get a lot of credit for. Do you agree?
I definitely agree because like all the Jameson Williams highlight tapes you'll see, it's usually him like his speed running by the defenders, getting wide open by 20 yards, and like there's never a defender anywhere near him to touch him. But like he's not afraid to take hits whenever he has to. Like I mean, he did it, and like in this game specifically, like Alabama was having a really hard time on offense in this game. They ended up losing this game, but this is the game I think he kind of broke out, and everybody kind of realized, okay, this man's the real deal because I think he went for over like 130, 140 some receiving yards, had two touchdowns in this game. This is one of the many catches that he had. Just he's anticipating contact and going up with his hands to get that catch. I remember you talked about like some players like to go up with their and try to bring it into their chest. If he does that there, that ball is going to get tipped right up in the air, and a defender's going to intercept that probably 9 times out of 10. So good for him to attack with his hands. So I thought that was a really good play by Jameson.
Yeah, 100%. And the hands catching is a big part of it because, if you let the ball come into your chest, that's something that, coaches and scouts are going to ding you for. That's going to be, a weakness in your scouting report. It's going to be he's a body catcher. He doesn't, have the most reliable hands. But Jameson shows off there that, he can come in over the middle, knowing that safety's going to come in and lay the wood on him. He's able to go up there and catch it with his hands, go up and kind of pluck it out of the air, which is really nice. Another thing I want to touch on real quick that I didn't notice the first time is how he kind of seems to settle into that zone a little bit there. Like he comes out of the break, he kind of stutters there and slows down a little bit. I wonder if that's kind of a byproduct of him and Bryce repping this a bunch of times, being on the same page and kind of trying to buy themselves a little bit of space so that safety just has to go another split second before we can get to that ball. If Jameson's going full speed out of that break, he's running right into that safety, So I think that shows a little bit of, awareness as well. He's not just out there, just running deep routes and using his speed. He's got, the physicality we talked about, got the good hands, and got the intelligence that he's repped this with his quarterback a bunch of times, and they're seeing things similarly. Bryce puts it right where he's expecting Jameson to be. And well-placed ball, and they both are on the same page about where this ball needs to be based on the coverage. So I think that's a very encouraging sign as well when it comes to his evaluation. And speaking of Jameson's evaluation, we trust our eyes with what we see out of these guys, but we thought it would be nice to kind of throw in what one of the experts is saying. So this is Lance Zierlein's scouting report of Jameson from NFL.com. We did the same thing with Evan, and we'll throw in some expert analysis and evaluation with each of these guys. So Jameson got a grade of 6.48 here from Lance, which means he'll become a good starter within 2 years. I'm curious whether that would be higher if not for the ACL injury, guys. What do you think? Do you think he would maybe get a little more love from Lance? Maybe expect a little bit more of a rookie season impact if not for that injury that he's recovering from right now?
I mean, I think he'll be a good starter this year wherever he goes.
Yeah, regardless of when he ends up coming back. I mean, I think reportedly he may even be ready by training camp in July or August. Is that right? Or are they expecting him to kind of come back a
Yeah,
few
from what I
weeks into the
read, from what,
season?
what I read, it was a sits like ACL is usually a 6 to 9 month recovery, and his supposedly is going to be recovered in sits. For him, that would be July, August. So probably won't play preseason, but maybe first quarter of the season he may come back. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So hopefully he's able to come in, learn a little bit in training camp, and kind of let that be a more gradual kind of assimilation into the league. So let's take a look at the scouting report here, guys. If you see anything in the overview or the strengths that you want to touch on, feel free to hop in, anybody here. Anything we touched on maybe already or something that we didn't that you want to point out?
Yeah, I think the biggest strength is obviously the speed. I mean, we've talked about it a lot here. He's incredibly fast. He's quick also. We saw the acceleration. He's just such a good athlete. And that's where he's going to win at the next level.
Yeah, I love how Lance says here the separation feels inevitable on these deep
Mhm.
passing patterns, and that just goes to what you said, Cole. That if you're a corner lined up against this guy, you've got to be, real scared of what this guy might be about to do to you, because there's just, you know, if he's taking off, you got to give him a cushion. You got to respect that speed that he has,
You better have a safety over the top because you're not going to be able to hang with him.
for sure. Got some special teams value too. I'm glad Lance mentioned this. We saw that a little bit from Alabama this year. I'm curious whether he maybe that's a way that his NFL team tries to kind of work him into the lineup, give him some special teams reps, and then work him more into the offense. And with the weaknesses here, anything stick out here, guys? Anything that they're wanting a little more out of from Jameson as he gets into his NFL future?
I think competitiveness diminishes near the noise is not exactly accurate. Like I don't think that's a worry in his game. I don't think he's scared of contact. I don't think he's afraid of battling for the ball.
Yeah, and we kind of just saw that with the A&M play, right? Like it's clearly there. Maybe they want to see it a little more consistently. I don't know, but it's clearly there. I mean, we saw it in a key game. He's willing to take the hit over the middle and go up and get the ball, knowing that he's going to take a shot.
Absolutely, it's not his fault he's running by people. He can't make every play a jump ball. I mean, when he's got a 10-yard gap between him and the defender, it's not his fault.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, obviously nobody is a perfect prospect. There are still things that these scouts are wanting to see a little bit more consistently from Jameson. Down here, I'm glad Lance mentioned this too because this is a fair question to ask. Obviously, Jameson played in a very deep receiver room at Ohio State, but it does kind of beg the question why, if he's this talented and we could see it at Alabama, why did we not see it at Ohio State? So that's a fair question to ask, but definitely if you're looking for the upside and that kind of next gear that a guy can add to your offense, you need to look no further than really any Alabama game this year, and you'll be able to see that. So now, as we wrap this up, we're going to roll some of his highlights. We got some Ohio State plays in here. We got some Alabama plays in here. And Cole, I know your main kind of focus that you wanted to hone in on for these breakdowns has been draft fits. So let us know, what do you think? Where might we see Jameson end up going in the NFL draft?
Yep. So, in my opinion, I think Jameson Williams is going to go somewhere between the mid and the late first round. I think you will hear his name called on Thursday of draft night. Um, I've seen him go in mock drafts as high as 10. I don't necessarily see that. I think with the concern of coming off the ACL, I think it's more likely he goes later in the first round because the ACL injury medicine has gotten a lot better in the last few years, so it's not as scary as it used to be having an ACL injury. But what it did do is limit him from being able to work out at the combine, work out at his pro day, which is where a lot of people are gaining ground on him by running good times, looking good in the drills and everything. Like if Jameson had run in the 40, I think we mentioned 4.2s earlier. I'd be shocked if he was any above like a low 4.3s level. So not being able to work out in that really hurt him. But I still think he goes in the first round. Some fits that I think make a lot of sense. First of all, the Saints, who pick at 16 and 19, I think make a lot of sense. They just re-signed James Winston, who loves to throw the ball deep, which is obviously what Jameson excels in. They have Michael Thomas on the roster. He hasn't really played at a high level in 2 years. He didn't play at all last year. So even if Michael Thomas comes back and he's the same Michael Thomas, Jameson Williams would still be a great compliment to him, taking the top off the defense where Michael Thomas can more work underneath. So I think that's a really good fit. The one thing I question with the Saints, a lot of people are saying they may move those picks 16 and 19, move up and get their quarterback like a Malik Willis. So they may not even be picking there when it's all said and done. But I think if they do stay there, it would make a lot of sense. Next place I'd like to mention is the Packers. They're picking at 22 and 28 late in the first round. They just lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who was their deep threat. They also lost, obviously, Devontae Adams to the Raiders in a big trade. So they are I know they haven't had the best track record of taking receivers in the first round. They haven't done one in, I think, 20 years is what I heard. But I think this is the year they do it, and I think Jameson would make a lot of sense. Obviously he's a great weapon, and he'd be great getting on the end of the deep balls from Aaron Rodgers. But the last place is the one that makes the most sense to me, and it's the Chiefs. They pick at 29 and 30. They just lost Tyreek Hill, who's a guy we've already mentioned in this podcast. I think Jameson Williams would excel working in a role similar to Tyreek in Kansas City, catching balls from Patrick Mahomes. I think it's the best fit for him. I think it's the best fit for the Chiefs. The only thing I question is whether he's still going to be there at 29 and 30. If they're going to get him, they may have to move up for him, which they have the draft capital for. It's just a question of whether they like him enough to move up for him when they can stay put and take a different receiver later.
Yeah, I'm with you completely on the Chiefs. I think Jameson on the Chiefs would be lethal because Andy Reid is probably already thinking about what he could do with this guy if they do end up being able to draft him. Another fit that I kind of like is the Chargers. I know they kind of have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams there as the veterans, but Jameson with Justin Herbert's arm strength and Keenan Allen getting a little older, I think could be a really good fit there as well. They pick 17, so if the Saints do pass on Jameson, if Jameson were to fall to 16 and then the Saints passed on him, I think the Chargers would definitely consider taking a receiver there, and maybe Jameson's the one they like.
Yeah, I agree. I think like if he goes to any like team that has a good strong arm quarterback like Herbert, Mahomes, or Rodgers, Jameson's potential is going to be unlocked. I think I would love to see him like on the Chiefs or the Packers. And like Cole said, the Packers have two first round picks. They have one, I think he said at 22 and 28. If
Yep,
he's there
22
at
and 28.
22, yeah, if he's there at 22, like I would expect them to take Jameson Williams, unless maybe Traylon Burks falls down to that spot, or like maybe an Olave falls down to that spot. Maybe they take one of those guys. But Jameson, like if you're worried about the ACL injury, like I mean, obviously ACL has affected a lot of people, like obviously a lot of athletes before, but most of them fully recover from it. Jameson Williams, people are going to regret like passing on Jameson Williams. I feel like.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Just to wrap this up, I know since Mac Jones went to the New England Patriots, probably a lot of Alabama fans have kind of taken a liking to New England. Ryan has actually been a Patriots fan since long before Mac Jones went there. Ryan, I'm curious, what do you think about Jameson ending up to the Patriots? That's something I've seen in a few mock drafts. What do you think about that fit? Kind of not reuniting him since he and Mac never played together, but the Alabama connection between Mac and Jameson. What would you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously want us to add as many dynamic receivers as possible to make Mac's job easier. I don't know that to make Mac's job easier. I don't know that Mac Jones unlocks as much of Jameson Williams' game as some of the other quarterbacks we've discussed. I mean, I think he'd be valuable, but I don't think it's the greatest fit for him personally.
Especially with losing McDaniels too. I feel like McDaniels was a guy you could trust to really have a solid plan for a guy as dynamic as Jameson. And now I think you informed us recently that Bill Belichick may even be calling the offensive plays. So kind of would cast a little doubt in my mind of how they would use a guy like Jameson.
Yeah, tough.
Hey, I wouldn't mind Jameson on the Falcons. I wouldn't. You no hear no complaints from me.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've seen him mock to us. I'm a diehard Washington Commanders fan for listeners, viewers who may not know, and I've seen that fit as well. I wouldn't mind that one bit. So, guys, I think we've about hit on everything we needed to say about Jameson. Anything else we left out? Anyone wants to hit on before we call it a wrap? All right. Well, Jameson's been a great player for Alabama's offense, was a key reason that Alabama, if I may be so bold, maybe a key reason Alabama didn't have multiple losses this year. Key component of Bryce Young's Heisman candidacy and eventual Heisman victory as well. So it's been great to watch Jameson. I'll be very eager to see where he ends up in the NFL and what his eventual pro future looks like. So thank you guys for watching. We'll be back with more of the Roll Tide Rewind Draft Breakdown series. We've broken down Evan Neal. Go and check that one out if you haven't already. We've broken down Jameson Williams. Let us know what you think, if we're giving a guy too much credit, if we're not giving a guy enough credit. Let us know. Just feel free to comment below, and we'd love to hear your feedback. So thanks again, Roll Tide. We'll be back with more of the Draft Breakdown series.